Well, the election is over. Thank goodness, regardless of who you voted for or wanted to win. I am sure you are glad that all those political commercials are not spoiling your football on the weekends. What does that mean for the market? What's going on with interest rates? What's going on with housing prices? What's going on with inventories? We will talk about all that and more on the November market update. I'm Jeff Harrell. I am with Remax Four Corners, JJL Realty Group, and moving to McKinney.com. We're going to talk about all that. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Well, that's the wrong way. Here we go. November market report. Today is November 13th, 2024. Election is over. Now what? Well, we can chill a little bit. As you know, when there's uncertainty in the market, that can cause problems, and we'll talk about that. But I feel like we can all just chill a little bit. Here's what we're going to talk about today. When will mortgage rates come down? What will it take for prices to come down? Will I be able to find a home if I move? Will the housing market pick up next year? And is the market going to crash? Are we going to see a 2008 type crash? We'll talk about all that. When will mortgage rates come down? I thought when the Fed had the rate cut, we saw a little bit of a drop. Then it went back up. We're today, as I'm recording this, right at 7% for a 30-year fixed mortgage. I think a lot of us expected that to be lower. Well, as we know, there's lots of key factors that impact mortgage rates. This is from Ralph McLaughlin with Realtor.com. The trajectory of rates over the coming months will be dependent on three factors. Performance of the labor market. We know there was a poor jobs report just before the election. That didn't help. The outcome of the presidential election. There was so much uncertainty. We thought it was going to be a very close election. Obviously turned out not to be necessarily that close, but there was a lot of uncertainty there. And then any possible reemergence in inflationary pressure, those three things combined can cause rates to go up or down. And we didn't have good news or stability in any of these three things. And so that's why one of the reasons we saw rates stay at that 7% rate. While volatility has been the theme of mortgage rates over the past several months, we do expect stability. That's the key word, I think, for this whole report, to reemerge towards the end of November into early December. And that is good news if you're wanting a better mortgage rate. The jobs report that we got right before the election was not great. You saw a lot of losses in manufacturing and professional business services. You saw some additions in healthcare and government. We expect with the Trump campaign to see more manufacturing jobs and more professional business. So you may see a little bit better news there. Probably see the same kind of healthcare situation, but as he has appointed Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to his Department of Government Efficiency, you may see a lowering of government jobs. But we think as a whole, we should see better jobs reports in the future. Inflation is still right around that 2.7. It's been right around that rate. We saw lowering over the last couple of years, still at 2.7. The Fed likes to see 2, so we're getting close. And so that has had an impact on rates. But where do we think rates are going to go now that the presidential election has been decided and we hope to see better job reports? What do we think the mortgage rates are going to do? These are all the big players in this space in terms of what they see over the next four quarters. And I think most people think we will go ahead and dive back into the sixes towards the end of Q4 this year, and below 6 by the end of next year. So most people believe better news is on the horizon relative to mortgage rates. We've been saying that for the last couple of quarters. We haven't seen it yet, but we think good news is coming. Well, what about prices? We've seen major price increases in homes. I know I bought my home in 2019 before we saw some crazy increases in home prices. What do we think it's going to take for the prices to come down? Here's an interesting slide. I really like this one. This is from the census. And so you can see there was a housing crisis, obviously, in 2007, 8, 9. And the number of new builds dropped dramatically. Since about 2010 until today, you've seen a steady increase in the number of homes being built. I've got a good friend in the building industry, the housing industry, and he says the builders he's talking to are buying up land left and right. We know that the demand is there for housing. When the supply is less than the demand, that's when your prices go up. We anticipate the supply to continue to increase. So hopefully a leveling of prices for homes is in the very near future. And so what they expect in 2025, you can see a variety of different people that track this. If you average it all out, about a 2.5% increase or rise in home prices in 2025. I think we'd all take that. For those of us, especially who are wanting to purchase a home in the near future, I think we would all take that. All right. Will I be able to find a home if I move? As I mentioned, more homes are coming to the market. The buyers that we talk to, my friend in the housing business is having one of his best years, and it's because the build from home builders is increasing. Especially, we'll talk about the McKinney area quite a bit today, but especially in this area of North Texas, we are seeing more homes, more land being purchased by home builders, more homes going up. And so we think there will be more homes coming to the market, both pre-owned and non-pre-owned. Here is what Ralph McLaughlin from Realtor.com says. There were 29.2% more homes actively for sale on a typical day in October compared to the same time in 2023, marking the 12th consecutive month of annual inventory growth and the highest count since December of 2019. So supply is increasing. When supply increases, we start to see prices start to level off a little bit. Will the housing market pick up next year? Boy, we sure hope so. Here's what most people think. We feel like that 2024 was the bottom of the housing market, and we're going to see growth. You can see the numbers here. We saw a high in 2021 of 6.9 million homes sold in 2021. That bottomed out this year. It looks like in terms of current pace, that's going to be 4.6 million. And then we start to see it go creeping back up in 2025 to 5.2 million. Good news for the housing market for sure. Well, is the market going to crash? We all remember 2007 and 8, 9, 10. I've got some numbers to show you. This is consumer debt, and this is important to look at. If you think about mortgages, what people owe in their home, other debt that they have, like home equity lines of credit, auto loans, credit card loans, student loans, just other loans. The nation is more in debt than they've ever been. Is that scary? What does that mean for housing? Does that mean there is a crash about to happen in the housing market? And most people think the answer is a resounding no. And here's why. If you look at the stats, so you look at 2007 through about 2010, the amount of equity in the home was actually less than what people owed on the home. And that's why you saw the big housing crisis that we saw back then. What do we know today? What does that picture look like? It's a lot different. So if you look at the housing crisis back then, you had 9.7 in terms of the home mortgage debt. That's trillion versus equity of 8.2. So negative equity on the average home. Today, the average debt is 13.2 trillion and the average equity is 35.1. So a very different picture. I think most people who bought, particularly before the prices went crazy, got those awesome interest rates or mortgage rates. They've got really strong equity in their home. And so we anticipate not to see any kind of crash like we saw back in 2008. 3 things you should expect next year. We expect total home sales forecast to rise. Again, total home sales have dropped. We talked about that here a second ago. But we expect that in how do I make it? Oops. Hold please. There we go. We expect 2025 to be 5.2. So we should see home sales rise in 2024. Excuse me, we are in 2024. In 2025. We expect mortgage rates to go down in 2025 below 6% by the end of the year. And we expect to see homes flatten off a little bit and have a reasonable rate of increase for 2025, averaged out about 2.5% increase in home prices for next year versus the double-digit growth we've seen in prior years. Let's look at McKinney. What's going on in our market here in McKinney? And I'll tell you, October, if you think about October, the election has not happened. We're looking at a lot of instability. We don't know who's going to win. We think it's going to be a super tight race. Mortgage rates are still at 7. And so the market in October was very, very slow. You can see the total listing count was at 1,180. That's even down from August and September. So listings were down. Active listing counts were down 791 compared to 817 the month before. New listings were down 270 new listings in the market here in McKinney, down from, you can see the high 490 this summer or the spring. So very, very slow October. Pending listing count was at 386, and the median listing price was down a little bit from September, that 550,000 range. And the median listing price per square foot, this is a number we always like to look at. What's that average price per square foot? It was right around 221. That's the lowest we've seen in quite a while. So October, a slow month for the housing market. And we know why. High mortgage rates, high relatively speaking to the 2 and 3% mortgage rates some of us have, or that we saw. And the election coming up, uncertainty there, not great news in terms of the jobs markets. And then so we saw houses sit longer than normal. So 59 days on market on average. That's the highest we've seen in quite a while. So things were not moving in October. And you didn't see a ton of homes with price reductions. You saw less homes on the market, so that would make sense. But I think people know, hey, things are slow. We think things are going to pick up. So things are sitting a little bit right now. And then this is the home size median per square foot. This doesn't change a whole lot, about 2,500 square feet for the average home on the market here in McKinney. Months of inventory, 3 months. That's high for us, but still, relatively speaking, 5 to 6 is a balanced market. So while it may seem like things are sitting and really slowing down, which they are for us, if you compare that to the national averages, we still have a very, very strong market here in McKinney. So what does all that mean? What's our conclusion? Well, we have more clarity. We know who's going to be in office in the presidency. We know that with Trump's victory, we know who'll be there. So that's good in terms of understanding. Less reduced uncertainty is good. I have seen, and Jill and I have seen, activity picking up even since the election. We're only 10 days post-election, but we've already seen some things pick up. Still relatively low inventory in days on market compared to the national averages. The market is very different than it was in 2008, so we do not expect any kind of crash. We do expect double-digit increases in home sales in 2025. You saw that 5.2 million versus the 4.6 kind of flattening. But if you want to chat with us and talk more about it, please set up a free consultation call. Go to movingtomckinney.com, and we would love to chat with you if you are thinking about buying, selling, have questions. We are always here to help and to guide you through that. So we think things are picking up. We are bullish in terms of it's been a tough year. October was really tough, but we think things will start to pick up in the market. And so if you're needing to move, we talk about those 10 reasons to move, wanting to be closer to family, you want to downsize, you want to upsize, you want to move to the lake, whatever the case may be, please set up a call with us. We'd love to chat with you and help guide you through that. Our goal here at JJO Realty Group and movingtomckinney.com is to serve. We just want to serve families in this area. We know buying and selling a house is one of the most stressful things you can go through, and our goal would be to help you through that with as little stress as possible. Well, with that, that is the November market update. Please let us know if you have questions, and we'll talk to you soon.